Sungwoo is thinking that there was no news about the North Korean server, and he thought maybe they had things under control somehow. Mr. Lee says that he tried to complete quests with few others who had picked cards, but things started to fall apart once the government got involved. The small-scale organizations that were trying to somehow maintain autonomy were driven out as traitors, so they could not respond as a united group. The raid boss monster that was neglected became a warlord monster, and that's how a Monster King was born. King says that now those beings are coming down here leading a swarm of monsters. Mr. Lee says that he is correct, and Sungwoo is thinking that this is the worst outcome. Players in North Korean server didn't have the strength to deal with the monsters, and the Beastmen had no reason to eradicate them, since stopping the monsters is players' only quest. Mr. Lee says that the monsters kept evolving, and in the end the whole server received a bad ending message. The North is a hell ruled by monsters, and one of those rulers is the Lich from Kaesong City. Sungwoo asks if there is only one Lich, and Mr. Lee replies by saying that there is only one Lich, but it controls thousands of undying monsters. Sungwoo is thinking that most of these monsters are going to be low level, but their scale is too large even for him, and the Lich must have received many benefits with the title of King. Mr. Lee further explains by saying that the remaining players started to serve the monsters in order to survive. The Lich in particular accepted mage class players and changed their job class to that of Priest of Death. The prophecy stone he touched before showed him a similar scene where he became a bloodkin of the Lich. Sungwoo asks Mr. Lee about the exact location of the Lich in Kaesong City, and Mr. Lee replies by saying that there is a place called the Temple in Kaesong. It's where the heinous Lich and his priests of death are gathered. It's a really terrible place, so he don't recommend anyone to go there. Sungwoo says that it sounds like a pretty good place for him. After a few days at the temple to the south of Kaesong City, some priests of death are gathered around a coffin. All of a sudden, one of the priests of death becomes shocked. He informs their chief priest that he lost connection with the zombie group in the southeast, and it looks like something attacked them. Chief tells them to send out the crow to find out if they are the same players who are resisting them, but before he can continue, another priest of death informs him that he lost connection with his zombie group as well. Chief asks Crow Priest if he can see anything, and Crow Priest says that he cannot see anything yet, so he will send his crow further in. After some time, they find someone 20 kilometers away, and this person seems to be approaching the temple, and he thinks that this person might be involved with what's going on. Chief Priest orders them to send a zombie unit over and turn him into one of them since he can't be disturbed because he is creating the undead golem. After some time, the Crow Priest brings the magical globe to the chief to show him something important. The zombies that went to attack the intruder are acting strangely, and they are not following their orders. Chief says that he wants to take a closer look, but Crow Priest informs him that if they send the crow a little bit closer, then the bewitchment might wear off, or the crow will die at the hands of the intruder. Chief tells them to forget about him as it can be an item ability. If he moves a little bit more closer to them, then they can just use a corpse explosion and blow it away. Chief makes an evil expression saying that the intruder will experience hell if he fearlessly pokes his head into their land. After some time, the intruder comes into contact with their corpse explosions, which ends up in a huge blast. Chief asks if he is dead, and Crow Priest says that it is not the case. It turns out that the corpses exploded before he could step on them. Chief becomes pissed as he is thinking that maybe one of his dumb subordinates exploded the corpses at the wrong time. Chief calms down as he remembers that they still have that poison gas, and he orders them to spray it once the intruder enters the temple. As intruder walks further into the temple, few jars are thrown near him. These jars contain breath of the abyss, which was secretly invented by the priests. As the whole room gets filled with breath of the abyss, Chief says that soon his body will wither and twist. But on the contrary, the intruder becomes even stronger than before. Chief says that this is not the type of guy they can handle by themselves, so he orders his men to wake up the one. His underlings are afraid and ask once again if waking up the death is the right choice. If they wake him up from his sleep, death might come upon them as well. Chief orders them to wake him up right now, or a bigger problem might occur if they neglect it. After getting infused with a lot of negative mana, the lid of the coffin blows away. Some black flame along with a black aura appears out of the coffin. Lich says that he is the death incarnate and how dare they wake him up at this hour. All priests gets down to beg for forgiveness, and Lich says that if it's nothing big, then he will use them all as part of his golem. At the same time, another huge explosion occurs near them, and a buffed up Sungwoo comes out of the explosion unscathed. Chief tells the Lich that it's this intruder they are worried about, and he begs him to bring death to him. But all of a sudden, the Lich makes a terrified expression out of nowhere. At the same time, reporter An is broadcasting live from the North Korean server, and there are about 34,000 viewers watching it. She shows them the current situation of the North Korean server. All they can see far and wide are endless zombies. She asks her viewers if this can be the first disaster that comes over from the North Korean server, and with that being said, she orders her crew to go further in to check more. After a few minutes, they reach another city. There are a ton of goblins and orcs present there. On further inspection, they found another tribe of trolls as well. Reporter An tells her viewers that this is all they can broadcast for now, but she has a terrible feeling that war will soon break out. A player by the name of Iron Shield donates 1,000 gold coins, and reporter An thanks him, further telling him that she will keep reporting even if the South Korean server falls. One of the viewers becomes pissed at reporter An for stopping the mainstream at such a crucial time. It turns out that he is not the only one, and these people think that maybe this is all because of that necromancer, and they ask to ban the necromancer from the Korean server. They make a statement on the forum asking the necromancer to cut down the world tree. No matter how superior the necromancer is, this is not something he can handle. There is going to be a full-on massacre in the entire Korean server. Can the necromancer be responsible for it? Necromancer, don't be stubborn and cut down that mere tree following the mainstream quest and end this. He further advised the necromancer to broadcast cutting down the tree. There are a total of 13 comments on this post. Most of the comments are negative and they agree with the post, but someone by the name of Kim Cheol tells them to shut up as they are all noobs who are feeding off other players, and the necromancer had nothing to do with this quests, and it was made by the system. This commenter turns out to be Griffin Rider Lee, who further tells them that they are just weak and foolish people. Those who don't do anything and sit in a corner are the ones who always create a ruckus during times like these. She is thinking of finding their location and crushing them personally so that order can be brought into this chaotic world through overwhelming power. But Spearman Kyungsoo tells her to not take this serious and just think of them as little kids crying. He further says that such negative opinions cannot become the norm. If they keep going forward on the right path, people are bound to follow them. The leader of the Hunter Company makes a post on the community forum telling others that they support the World Tree faction and they will participate in this war. They will temporarily stop all business and join the war in order to protect the Korean server. For this, they are recruiting field staff, so he hopes that players can show interest in joining them. The loot from the war will be fairly distributed. The Hunter Company leader says that maybe the Necromancer will make his company officially aligned with the World Tree faction after this post. Hwarang Guild posts as well, telling others that they will join the war as well. They cannot lend many troops as they are still recovering from the damage sustained in the Japan-Korea War, but they recognize the seriousness of the current problem and will dispatch 500 troops. The Hwarang Guild will fight with responsibility. New Hwarang Guild leader says that it's time to pay back the Necromancer for his grace. Spearman Kyungsoo says it's a given that the Liberation Guild will fight as well, and Hanho says that it's like the entire Korean server is forming an alliance. But on the other side, things seems to have taken a weird turn as the Lich along with Righty and Death Priests are in a begging position in front of Sungwoo. One of the Priests of Death asks the Chief about what's going to happen to them, and Chief says that they might live if they are lucky enough. Sungwoo inquires about the name of the Lich King, and Lich says that he is Victor. Sungwoo asks him about his ability, and Lich Victor says that he can control a maximum of 2,000 low-level zombies. With the Priests of Death, he can add 50 for each of them. Death Knight tells Sungwoo that this is a monster with intelligence. He will cut his neck with the Dragon Blade in such a way that the Dragon Egg hatching quest will be immediately completed. Sungwoo tells him to stay off for now as the information comes first. At the same time, Sungwoo is thinking, this is the perfect time to obtain some good information. Sungwoo asks if the Monster King is the highest rank, or if there is someone above the ones with the Monster King title. Victor Lich says that the kings are serving a being who is on a higher level. The strongest being among the ones who acquired the title of king is the Emperor. Sungwoo is thinking that Monster Emperor sounds really intimating. He then asks about more details on this Emperor. Victor says that it's the strongest being among the monsters that acquired the title of the king, and it's safe to say that it's the one with the highest rank within the server. Sungwoo says that you were serving him before, but from now on you will follow me, and Victor replies with a yes. He further says that serving death is his responsibility, which is more important than anything else in this world. A system message pops up stating that Sungwoo can take Lich Victor, who is a similar type of undead, as his bloodkin. As it is a being with independent will, it may present activity even outside your influence. The target Lich will obey his orders. Sungwoo comes down and he is thinking that he got a nice harvest this time. He then takes Victor as his bloodkin and Victor becomes overjoyed with happiness. Sungwoo tells him that now it is his turn to show his usefulness. After a few days inside Paju City in South Korea, Red Orcs have destroyed the northern fence, and the city guards request for reinforcements. The magicians say that they thought the swarm of zombies would come first, but they are not sure what these orcs are doing here. Their leader tells them to hold on since Liberation Guild and the Hunter Company are on their way. Another sentry informs their captain that a swarm of zombies is approaching from the north, and there are thousands of them. The captain is not sure why the zombies are coming now of all times. The morale of the players hits rock bottom as they think they cannot hold their ground against this tsunami of monsters. As the zombie swarm comes a bit closer, the sentry informs his captain that the zombie swarm is acting a bit strange. Zombies have started to attack the orcs in a frenzy. Two soldiers whisper among themselves that the zombies attacking other monsters can mean only one thing, and their captain gets lightened up as she thinks maybe Necromancer is controlling them. With that being said, Captain orders her subordinates to attack the monsters from their side. As the exit route for the monsters have been blocked by the zombies, they can now easily surround and destroy them. After a few minutes, the zombies manage to slay a huge troll. Now the zombies and the players have came face to face, but the zombies make some strange signs to cheer up the players, and the captain says that they look a little funny, considering they are the Necromancer's summons. At the same time, Sungwoo flies in, and he tells them it's not over yet, and they should repair the fortress. One of the soldiers is crying as he was one of the guys who were previously abusing him online, but now seeing how he helped them, he is feeling ashamed. Captain orders her troops to repair the fortress, and she asks Sungwoo if he will stay at the fortress with them, and Sungwoo replies with a no, since he is going up north. He further says that they cannot win the war through defense only, and he will end this mainstream event. With that being said, Sungwoo flies off with his army of wyverns. Victor Lich informs Sungwoo that the monster emperor is in Pyongyang, and he has never seen that bastard's face. Sungwoo asks about why did he served him, and Victor Lich says that there were a bunch of rumors about him stating that when he was a field boss monster, he raised his level by eating up the raid monsters who were still resisting. Sungwoo is thinking that it must be a being like the Alpha Wyvern. If they let him be, he will only endlessly grow. Victor further informs him that the Emperor used to be an Elder Drake in the past, but now it's a salamander. It spits out fire so hot that it melts rocks. Sungwoo says that a flame attribute type monster sounds like a guy who he can easily have a conversation with. There is a monster crane along with the wyverns. King is the one who sent it, and he says that things are unfolding rather unexpectedly. Sungwoo previously told them that he would hold his ground in Imjin, but he is suddenly going north. King says that it will mean that the key plot of them appearing at the critical moment will be ruined, and his tiger subordinate says that he will rewrite the scenario. Jisoo-yun says that it looked urgent, so should not they also get going? King says that it's his first appearance, so it must be perfect, and Hanho agrees with him, saying that he wants to be a protagonist as well, who appears at the most critical time. Jisoo-yun flares up as she tells them to shut up and get going. Both King and Hanho hesitantly agree with her. Tiger becomes quite excited after seeing Jisoo-yun threaten the king, and he says that his passion is surging. Jisoo-yun tells them to hurry it up, or they will have to ride all the way there. On the other side, Sungwoo just arrived at the outskirts of Pyongyang, and he is welcomed by some high-level monsters. Death Knight along with a wyvern got rid of these monsters in a hurry. Victor Lich is overjoyed after seeing Sungwoo's minions in action, and he keeps on praising him. He lightens up as he says that his low-level zombies are no match for this, and Sungwoo tells him to shut up. Victor says that if they keep on pushing forward like this, the rear will be unstable, and Sungwoo tells him that there is a plan for everything. Victor jumps up in excitement to see what his master is going to do next, and at the same time Sungwoo gets a notification saying that the ability of Victor Lich have improved slightly. He can now control small skeletons. Sungwoo is thinking that if he grows some more and upgrades to middle-sized skeletons, then he will acquire a powerful army. One of the priests of death has something to report. He informs Sungwoo that there is a large army rushing in about 30 kilometers from outside. There are more than 10,000 troops in that army. Sungwoo is thinking that it must be a unit that moves following the Emperor's command. Sungwoo grabs Victor as he tells him that they will split up for now. Victor Lich is now going to face that 10,000 strong army. To be more specific, he just needs to buy time. Meanwhile, Sungwoo will go to Pyongyang and strike the Emperor. With that being said, Sungwoo throws him down, wishing him best of luck. Meanwhile, the center of Pyongyang is quite hot. There is a huge fire pillar in the middle of the city. There are some human guests staying at a nearby building. One of the envoys says that it's quite hot even when they are this far away from that damned lizard, and the envoy leader tells them to shut their mouth. That lizard is a monster infamous for its disgusting character, and she further tells them to not forget that they are the envoys of the real emperor. Their mission is to use the monsters in the North Korean server and face the necromancer, who is a potential enemy of the first Chinese server. They become silent as someone by the name of Butler comes in. Butler says that the emperor has not coughed yet, so he thinks they should wait a few more hours. One of the envoys gets up as he says that they have already waited for 2 days, and they are still being insincere since the necromancer is heading north. Butler kindly requests them to wait for a little longer. The necromancer of the south won't be able to come up here anyway. Whether he flies or crawls, he will not be able to deal with 20,000 troops. An envoy is amazed to hear that they amassed such a huge number. Butler says that since His Majesty is asleep, we sent the general under command in order to prevent noise. As a result, they got news that the necromancer is being chased away by our army, and he is retreating south. The envoy leader says that they were worried before because they heard the necromancer was coming, and Butler tells them to not worry. Although there is one monster king on the South Korean server while they got 8 of them, and the one with the most dominating power is His Majesty the Emperor. The envoy coughs up as he says that they will wait for a little longer. Butler says that he will convey their message to His Majesty, but all of a sudden they get an earthquake. They don't know what is going on, so they look outside the window. They see the necromancer standing on top of a building. Sungwoo summons his demonic bombardment. He says that he had a hard time getting here, so the emperor should come out and receive his guests. With that being said, Sungwoo uses demonic bombardment on the fire pillar to remove it from existence.